Who could these silent commits possibly be? But the biggest news is the legend, the GOAT, the greatest wrestler and coach in the history of the sport, John Smith, has officially retired from Oklahoma State.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms and visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we get to talk about the GOAT. The legend himself, John Smith, has retired. Now, starting with wrestling is pretty risky. We're supposed to start with football. Football drives the bus and pays the bills. Unless it's a monumental shakeup. This is a monumental shakeup. This is the news reverberating around Cowboy country right now because it seemed like after this previous season, John Smith definitely bought himself another season. Not that he was necessarily falling off too far, but clearly when we brought in Coleman Scott the way that we did, him being the head coach at North Carolina to come be the assistant at Oklahoma State, it was very evident that he was going to be the next in line. I think a lot of us thought we were going to get one more season out of John Smith before we handed the keys over to Coleman Scott. We all know we're in a good spot with Coleman Scott, though, and you're seeing some of these transfers that clearly do know the lay of the land in Oklahoma State wrestling that like the idea of wrestling for Coleman Scott. So positivity around Oklahoma State wrestling is continuing to get better. But in this positivity, we need to take a look at the GOAT, the greatest of all time, who just so happened to come to Oklahoma State and compile a 154-7 record, being a 3-time finalist and a 2-time national champion while also winning 90 consecutive matches. He then goes on to wrestle at the Olympic and international level, compiling a record of 105. He was the only American wrestler to ever win 6 consecutive world and Olympic championships. At Oklahoma State, as a coach, all he did was win 5 national titles. He won 490 duels, had 33 NCAA Division I national champions. He produced 152 All-Americans, 21 conference titles, and 129 conference individual champions as a coach. And then here's the best part to me. When you go to like the Wikipedia and you look at all the gold medals, you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 championships and gold medals. That is John Smith. Now, we have seen some of the greatness in Oklahoma State wrestling. We've also seen some of them transition fairly well to the UFC. We've got a couple guys coming up at the very moment that fit that mold, and Crutchmer and Piccinini. Nick Piccinini is going to be an issue. Kyle Crutchmer is going to continue to evolve and eventually land himself on a UFC stage. We've got more wrestlers that could potentially follow in the same line. The only mistake that John Smith's ever made, ironically enough, is basically bringing in AJ Ferrari. Like I've heard from so many people that he was kind of cancerous. He worked his tail off, but he did things his own way, and he made the wrestling room competition obviously better, but it also was not the greatest of, relationships between all the guys. That set Oklahoma State wrestling backwards, which is why a couple of years ago, a lot of us, myself included, were saying that John Smith may have lost his luster. Going from competing for the national championship every single year to then competing with Penn State for like second place for a long time, to then falling to 4th place, 5th place, 7th place, 8th place. Oklahoma State wrestling is not where it used to be. Now, this previous season proved that that's not necessarily all because of John Smith. John Smith, much like Mike Gundy, proved that he can dive back into things, course correct, and give you a phenomenal product. At one point in time in this season, it looked like we were going to bonus point our way into having a legit shot at competing for a top 2, top 3 spot in the national championships. That didn't happen. But it still showed us that he had plenty left in the tank. So this is surprising. A lot of Cowboy country didn't necessarily see this coming. I didn't see this coming right away. Like I said, bringing in Coleman Scott was an obvious, this is a transitionary guy. But after the success of 90% of this season, I think we all thought he'd get another year. And we all thought that would be 100% fair. But now we're in the Coleman Scott era. And we've seen a couple massive transfers that have come in the last week. You know that those transfers in conversation were told, FYI, if you come here, you're going to be playing or wrestling for Coleman. Much, much more than you would ever be for John. So clearly the guys coming in like the direction. They understand what Coleman Scott can provide. And legitimately, a decent amount of time last season, Coleman Scott was extremely involved on the mat, doing some of the wild, crazy stuff that John Smith did throughout his career. Coleman Scott is the energetic guy that was taking North Carolina to different heights very, very quickly. So we need to bask in the glory that was John Smith and what he provided for Oklahoma State as not only a wrestler, but a coach and a recruiter and an ambassador. This is massive news. But, he's still going to be involved. He's still going to help Coleman Scott. So if you have any misconceptions about Oklahoma State going backwards in wrestling, I don't think that's going to happen. I think instantaneously we'll stay precisely where we are, if not even maybe get a little bit better. Competing for national title is the expectation in wrestling. That hasn't happened for a few years now. So we need to get back to that. John Smith was clearly this season getting us back to that, which is why next season is going to be huge. It was going to be huge for John. Now it's even bigger for Coleman Scott. And you got to give a shout out to Coleman here. It's hard. The hardest thing to do is to replace an absolute legend. Like whoever is going to be the coaching throughout the years at Alabama, they're always going to be compared to Nick Saban, no matter what they do. So Coleman Scott knows that. He took this challenge on willingly, knowing that the expectations here are extremely high. He wrestled here. He gets it. He understands Cowboy culture. I'm excited about this. And you too should be excited about the prospect of eBay Motors. You can't be the MVP of anything if your rig can't get you there. Right passion, drive, and patience is necessary and usually the winning formula to keep your ride or die rig alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and keep it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lighting kits, and more. Doesn't matter if you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from, your ride or die can stay alive all the time. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your rig every time or your money back. With the eBay Motors, we want you to be burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, all the prices you want, it's easy to make your rig the MVP today. Bring home this W. Keep your ride or die rig alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Go to ebaymotors.com today. Be the MVP. And go get her did. All right, now we get to slide into the silent commit thing. This is a that is obviously coming along. Some of it is just about the aesthetics of wanting to do a little bit of a presentation in their high school, with the table and the backdrop and all that fun jazz. Some of it's because they may have another visitor too. Maybe it's because they have previous commitments that dictate their timeline. But nonetheless, I've been asked this question a few times yesterday, and instead of digging in, I wanted to do it based off of just what makes the most logical sense, right? So I actually did not ask who these two guys are. I do know of two more defensive guys that will be committing today. Yeah, stop maybe silently. But as far as the two silent commits that have already been mentioned, we're going to take a stab at it. And the first stab I'm going to take here is Jaden Sanders. Jaden Sanders is a 6', 275 cornerback out of Kilgore, Texas. He's a composite 3-star, and he's got several offers, right, from Baylor, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Kansas, Arizona State, several other players in this thing as well. But here's the thing. We've been in on him early, which matters, and we have much more stability, and what we're doing at the defensive spots, especially where he's at with his size, it makes him that versatility character that we're looking for. It makes him one of those individuals that can play both the corner and the safety spot, which right now we have a lot of. The versatility that Brian Narlo's defense is going to bring to the Big 12 is something that Baylor nor Texas Tech can provide. This is part of the reason why I think Jaden Sanders is going to be a Cowboy. It makes the most amount of sense. Whether he's viewed by Baylor as a prime target or not, at this point in time, it doesn't matter. And here's the biggest thing with Jaden Sanders. If Baylor is, in fact, leading the charge here with Oklahoma State and Texas Tech right there in the fold, this is an Adam Schobel sales pitch situation. Now, you guys know how hard I've been trying to get the Schobels to understand Stillwater's the best spot. So if Jaden Sanders has any conversations with Adam Schobel or John Schobel, which might be the bigger get of the bunch if we're being 100% realistic, he can even tell you, they will tell you, that what we have at Oklahoma State is not even in comparison to what's offered at Baylor. Texas Tech is pretty close, I'll give them that. But they're not where we are. They're in a situation where they have a lot to prove. Oklahoma State is a place that you can come after we prove it, of course, to win Big 12 titles and have an opportunity to play in the playoff every single stinking year. Jaden Sanders knows that. Jaden Sanders should be a Cowboy soon enough. Another individual that we've been on for a very, very, very long time on the offensive side of the ball, from Richardson, Texas, wide receiver, 5'11", 172 pounds, Kobe Foreman. We've talked previously about Kobe Foreman. He is a composite 247 4-star. Got offers for some of the same characters, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Houston, Baylor. You're going to have a lot of these Big 12 schools jump in. Arkansas clearly is going to be involved. TCU, some other SEC-style schools. But this is one of those situations where when you look at the numbers we have at the wide receiver position, we're going to need some help. Last year, we put a lot of eggs into the Trey Griffiths basket, and we are seeing some of that production already early on because he's getting a decent amount of reps due to how many seniors and upperclassmen we currently have at the wide receiver position. But this is the point. If your sales pitch at Baylor or Arizona State or Tech or anywhere else is playing time, it's not a guarantee at Oklahoma State. But what is a guarantee is you're going to get the opportunity to have enough reps to put yourself squarely in the 2 deep, 3 deep by the time the season starts. That's one of the biggest benefits that Mike Gundy is currently providing that is kind of new, right? This plethora of snaps for the second and third team guys is super new. This is not something we've been doing for very long. But you've got teams like Baylor that are in a position where they're trying to get right, right? They're not right. They're trying to get right. TCU, not right, trying to get right. Oklahoma State is right. We've been right. We've been staying right for 90%, 80% of Mike Gundy's coaching tenure. The 20% of snafus are big. But I think, again, a lot of people know that if you want exposure, if you want opportunities, if you want a shot at playing time, Oklahoma State is the destination. And if you like winning, and you like playing extra games, getting extra snaps and conference title games or Big 12 title games, playoff games. Goodness me. I know words are hard for me. I'm sorry. But I think those two would be the most likely candidates to be some of the silent guys. Now, one of the dudes that will be, I don't know if he's going to officially do it today, but it's another defensive back that will be committing today. That's all we're going to have on that. We're going to keep cruising through this thing here. I'm trying to break stuff, of course, but we've got 5 games in the next 2 days. Baseball tournament kicks off in 15 minutes, so we're gonna skedaddle on off of here before too long. But of course, before we do that, I have to let the fine people out here know Don't worry about the stress of tickets because you have Game Time at your disposal. We're here to help you with that. Today, Game Time needs to be downloaded in your phone because it makes buying tickets so easy. Not only do they have the best deals, but they also have killer deals right up to the first pitch or even into the game. The longer it goes, the better the price gets for you. The last minute killer deals, all in prices, views from the seat, and the lowest price guarantee makes the guesswork completely gone out of buying Major League Baseball or any other ticket. You got to use this app and you can make customizations to your spots. And whether you have aspirations to go see a game or a concert or movie or comedy or theater, they've got you covered. The all-in pricing means that you just toggle through the features, get the total up front with no surprise fees at the checkout. You know the panoramic view for your seat is the bee's knees for me. And Game Time will credit you back 110% of the difference if you find the same seat, same row with a lower price. You need to take all of the guesswork out of you buying tickets today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, make sure you create that account. Use that code LOCKEDONCollege, one word, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Hey, yeah, so we've got some fun baseball stuff going on up the road. And fun fact, say a prayer, at 3 o'clock today, my son's taking the mound in front of a national team Colorado scout. So hopefully the pressure doesn't get to him. It's a game that we should win. It's a game that he should pitch well. And if he does, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for his potential options, I guess you could say. Speaking of options on the diamond, the Cowboys look to continue to take a stab at the top of the Big 12. Currently stuck in a four-way tie for second place against a team in Cincinnati that just swept TCU. Should I repeat that? Cincinnati, one of the new booties that's not really known for baseball, swept one of the old guard, heavy hitter, big dogs of the Big 12. Now, TCU's a little bit down from where they typically are, but sweeping anybody in this conference is going to be a tall task. We also won the series, but not like that. We didn't beat them up. We didn't sweep them. So this is a difficult test, ironically enough. We didn't think this was going to be one, but it is. So we got Cincinnati in Stillwater for Josh Holiday and the Cowboys to take this opportunity to bump Cincinnati out of the pecking order, because right now they are squarely in the mix as well. And hopefully, right, you have a game or two up top that you maybe need a loss. West Virginia lost to Marshall, so you know they're susceptible, especially the Big 12 teams. So this race is wide open. Another race that's not exactly wide open, but really, really close is the softball Big 12 regular season title. You know how excited I am. And even the prospect, hats off, thank you, Tejas, for putting us in a position to win the Big 12 title. The biggest benefit, I mean, it would take some stuff for Texas to surpass us and OU to win the Big 12 regular season title. But Oklahoma State surpassing OU, if we win out and they lose another game, this is a realistic possibility. Then it makes the Bedlam matchup at the end of the year much bigger. And I misspoke the other day. I said that the Cowgirls get to host the Sooners. That's incorrect. We go to Norman to end the season. We get to play in their new fancy, whatever, 30-something million, 20 million, whatever stadium. Now, I will admit their softball stadium is phenomenal. Super jealous of their scoreboard. Kind of upset that we didn't get that idea first, okay? Making the scoreboard the actual state outline. That's pretty phenomenal, not going to lie. I kind of like it. It's a loves thing. So I guess it's okay to love it a little bit. I'll love it more if the Cowgirls squeak out a series W over the Lady Sooners. A difficult proposition. It's a tall task, but right now we got to take care of Iowa State first, as the Cowgirls are in Ames, Iowa today throughout the course of the weekend. It's a series that we should easily win. It's a series that we could sweep. Now, Iowa State's not a layover, but a sweep here would be huge for this Big 12 title regular season race. Don't think OU's going to lose another game. It's a possibility. They dropped one to Louisiana, dropped back-to-back games to Texas, so it's not the same OU softball squad that we're all kind of used to seeing. This race is fun. The Big 12 baseball race is far more log-jammed and crazy even than I thought it would be. The baseball Big 12 race looks a lot like the basketball and the football Big 12 race, which is, again, another testament that the Big 12 might be the best conference top to bottom in every sport. We know we're the best conference top to bottom in football because the number 13 team can beat the number 1 team on any given Saturday because the talent gap isn't insanely huge. The depth gaps are where you see teams like Oklahoma State flourish. But nonetheless, it's a fun time. Unexpected to some degree in baseball. But here we are. And we've got a massive opportunity in both sports to win a regular season Big 12 title. Josh Holiday needs something like that. Kenny doesn't, but Josh does. Josh definitely needs, he needs something. There's some, anywho. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. See, quick, short, easy. I'm going to go work on some baseball stuff, call some pitches, do some things, have some fun, and yell at some kids, right? Who doesn't love to yell at children's? All right, y'all. So we're going to have before this one arrives here. You know I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Like it if you like the daggone thing. Dislike it if you don't. That's cool too. Most importantly, share, comment, subscribe. My podcast and folks, the bricks, the foundation, the bread, the butter. Do what you do. Leave a review. Hit the stars. All righty, y'all. Later, taters.